Mitch doesn't have his mic yet. No mic.
Or mic. Yes. So your mic is actually on your table and should pick you up. A mic, let me back up. A microphone is on the table and will pick up the audio of the whole table. You don't need your own for this meeting.
The boundary mic. I'm the only one who doesn't need it. Because everybody else got
Take
some.
note, take note.
Where do you want me to do it? That's a great question. Trust issues.
So I'm sure when we're ready, so it's going backwards, but we'll see this right here. Yeah, but I'm watching. Let me know. 2 seconds. I'm ready.
Thank you all for coming. We're ready to go. We're recording. And so I'm calling the June 10th, 2025 business meeting of the Lincoln County School District Board of Education to order. And we will begin by reading the land acknowledgement. We ask that you take a moment to stop what you are doing, to listen to these words as we recognize the land that we currently inhabit. No matter where each of us is physically located in Lincoln County, we must understand that we are on the traditional homelands and unceded territories of indigenous peoples. Where we live in Lincoln County, these are the ancestral homelands of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians. Lincoln County School District acknowledges the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians that consists of over 30 bands originating from Northern California to Southern Washington. Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians currently occupy and manage 9,310 acres located here in Lincoln County. But this is a mere fraction of their original 1855 1.1 million acre Siletz Coastal Reservation. We must remember the people of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians are and will forever be the first stewards of this land, water, and fish.
We acknowledge and recognize the continued sovereignty of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and honor their ancestral homelands. We are committed to bring awareness to the history and the existence of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians since time immemorial.
Okay, so we'll move on to the establishment of a quorum and a roll call. Before that, though, I'd like to read an anti-discrimination statement. Oregon law prohibits discrimination in all public elementary and secondary schools that receive state funding, including discrimination based on perceived race, color, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, or national origin. All comments during our public board meetings will follow these policies. I would like to highlight two of these policies, AC, non-discrimination, and ACB, every student belongs.
in regards to appropriate public comments. We will now do a roll call of board members. Liz Martin,
Present.
Centilla McKinley,
I'm here.
Jason Malloy,
Here.
Mitch Parsons.
Present.
I am Peter Vinci, and we have a quorum. So we'll move on to introductions. And Dr. Tolan, do we have any introductions tonight?
I do not have any tonight.
Okay. So at this point, we are going to recess into a public hearing for the 2025-2026 approved budget. The District Budget Committee met on May 15th, 2025 and approved the 2025-26 adopted budget. A public hearing is required in order to allow for public comment. We will now recess into a public hearing to listen to public comments regarding the 2025-26 adopted budget. Do we have any?
We do not.
Have no blue cards. Okay. Any further discussion or comments from board members? Okay, so at this point, we will adjourn the public hearing and resume our regular business meeting. So we will go on to communications, and before we move into communications, I just want to read a statement. At this time, we will hear general public comment on items in the agenda. As a reminder, board meetings are meetings of the board that are held in public. They are not public meetings in the sense of being open forums or town halls. Please note that public comment will be conducted in accordance with board policy BDBH, public comment on board meetings. Additionally, Oregon law prohibits discrimination in all public elementary and secondary schools, and this board is fully committed to upholding that law. During the public comment periods, audience members who have submitted a public comment card to the board secretary will have the opportunity to speak. While the board does not engage in discussion during public comment, it may ask clarifying questions when appropriate. The board chair reserves the right to set the speaking time as outlined in policy BDH. For this meeting, individuals will have up to 3 minutes to speak. If a group is commenting on the same topic, a designated representative will need to be selected and they may speak for up to 5 minutes. As a reminder, comments regarding individual staff, district staff members or students will not be heard during public comment. In those cases, the board chair will direct speakers to follow the procedures outlined in board policy KL, public complaints, to submit a formal complaint. Eddie, are there any blue cards from the audience at all? Okay. So let's move on to recognition. And we will start with recognizing the site council for Newport Middle School. So, Principal Perez, I have some certificates to get out to you. And dead center. Dead center. Dead center. Okay. Awesome. So first one I have is for you, Marty.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Jenny Reed. Okay. There you go. Thank you. Peter Ellingson. There you go. Okay. And Rhiannon Upton-Keller. There you go. Thank you so much. Appreciate your volunteering. Molly Vance.
I'll take multi.
Okay. And how about PJ Colson?
Then I'll take GJ.
Okay. So Susan's going to take our photo. So
Thank you.
thank you all for your service. Thank you. I know you- Okay. Our next recognition is for some athletic state champions. Do we have a representative for?
Yes, if I could have Kathy Byer come up and introduce Newport High's newest state champion, who's also a Yankee fan, which I did not know, and now he's in Newport.
Yeah, Newport High School is really excited to introduce you to Aiden Beaucrow. He is our state champion in the triple jump, and he made an amazing jump at Hayward Field in Eugene. He jumped 45 feet, 7 inches.
Wow.
And what's really cool about it is it's not only a school record, but also a district record in the triple jump.
Congratulations.
And when I asked him about it, he said he had 6 jumps. And on the second jump, he set the school record. And then on the 6th jump, his very last jump, he set his own record again. So he actually did it twice. So, and I said, are you gonna jump in college? And he said, in basketball and in track. And so anyway, this is just an amazing young man and athlete at Newport High School. So we're really proud of him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We do have one other state champion. We'll recognize her when we are up at TAF 712, but Lainey Lee set the school record in the 110 hurdles and was 3A state champion at TAF. So she'll be at the next Wichita basketball game tonight. Thank you for coming, Aiden.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm going to do one more recognition before you do your recognition.
Okay,
That's
all right, that's.
Okay, if I could have Susan Van Loo stand up. This is the second time I've done it to her, not put it on the agenda, because then I'm afraid she wouldn't come to the meeting.
You're right.
But this is Susan Van Loo's last board meeting after 35 years. And I just really grateful to have had the opportunity to work with you, and very honored to work with someone that dedicated to Lincoln County School District and to our students. And you're finishing stronger than ever. She said, I don't want to be one of those people that goes out soft. I want to go out strong, and she is doing it for sure. So thank you so much, Susan.
Okay, now it's my turn.
Now it's your turn.
Okay, great. So, on behalf of the district, I am going to award the Tom Moore Memorial Award. And this is an award that's presented annually to an individual who best exemplifies the spirit of volunteerism. Tom Moore was president of National Security Bank in Lincoln County and serves on the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors for many years, providing support to countless people in Lincoln County. Tom gave his all to our district and community, including adopting 2 children and fostering many others. Tom never wanted recognition for his generosity, often attributing his giving to others, including his wife, Joanne. The Tom Moore Award recognizes a community member who demonstrates the same dedication to our students. Eddie, ready for the video?
I am.
Oh. We're going from.
Thank you, my dear. Someone whose heart is always in the right place, all the time.
It was 47 years ago that I arrived in America as an immigrant. Spoke very little English. And I've been spending the week reflecting on how my life has been because I have an auntie at home that couldn't wait for me to come home. But it's hard to leave because after graduation the other day, some of the kids came up and said, "Are you going to hug me when I graduate?" They're in 5th grade. And I said, "That's a long time." So, thank you.
Congratulations.
Please join me in honoring Scintilla McKinley as this year's Tom Moore Memorial Award. And our last board
Very
meeting.
sneaky.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to report from the LCEA. Trevor,
thanks.
Dennis? You gotta know who to fault.
Good evening, Janice Venture. Is this on? Hello, hello. Is it working now? I don't believe you.
Just use your teacher voice.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk.
All right.
People yell at me when I try to do that. Good evening, Janice Venture, Lincoln County Education Association President, here with Trevor Stewart.
Lincoln County Education Association Vice President.
Want to start by saying congratulations to our new board members and those of you that won your races, even those unopposed. We're still glad to have you. Congratulations also on the bond. Super excited by that. Thanks to all who worked so hard to pass and to the voters who voted for students. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate having that, finally being able to have those real discussions about how our schools are going to improve and how our learning for our students is going to improve. So we're very excited. Bargaining is still in full effect. Our next bargaining is on the 30th. It'll be an all-day event, so come by, bring some popcorn. The LCEA team is working diligently to improve language in order to support educators in their work. And just a reminder to the board that there are many items that include financial implications that are not currently in the proposed budget. And so just, take that into consideration once we actually put the final contract in front of you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I do have a couple of groups that I want to shout out tonight here from our very own Newport High School. I'm a little bit partial to. The first is our IB science teachers. So Savannah Martin, Cyrus Flanders, and Will Burkhart started a new collaborative sciences project. It's a requirement for the IB diploma. And they got all 3 of their classes together and they did silly science posters. So if you have a little bit of time after the board meeting, if you want to go down the hallway, there are posters such as the health effects of Arizona iced tea and the ecological implications of a zombie apocalypse. So they did an amazing job.
The other group of people that I really want to shout out is Vicky Krutzikowski, our ELD teacher here, and Taya Kazee and Kirk Tice. They have been piloting our integrated ELD model here at Newport High School, providing English language development services within the language arts classroom itself, the general education language arts classroom. They've been putting in a lot of extra work to help make that happen and to help develop that and make that effective. And they are expanding to juniors and seniors. So they're going to start roping in Rachel Newby and Jay Carlson into that work this summer. So big, it's a huge undertaking and it's been really cool to see. So yeah, some great stuff happening here. And again, go check out some silly science posters.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trevor and Janice, for your report. And let's move into consultant reports, staff reports, student reports. And do we have an area report?
Marty Kaplan.
Okay, Marty.
Except I need a moment to pull it up.
That's all right. I will just say it is a pleasure to talk about Newport Middle School, and I hope that the data that I present to you all tonight really speaks volumes to the hard work that's happening within our building. We'll go ahead and start with the second slide, which is kind of the obvious in the room that we only have one more day of school, and I don't know who is more excited, students, staff, principals, or maybe the guardians of our students that inhabit Newport Middle School. Mr. Ellingson's here doing double duty. He's also the assistant principal, athletic director, and also full-time dad. And I think it's good for the public to see just a hardworking individual that will not compromise his own daily work, but also stay true to his role as a father. I will just say, I need to say thank you to him and the work that he does in our building. He most often probably could carry all of the load in Newport Middle School, and yet he allows me to work alongside his eagerness to really change and transform this building of about 415 middle school students. If Raina Matson was here, she's back there. If you take a look at Raina Matson's face, she is just so happy to welcome our 8th grade students. I'm gonna say last week, we did our moving up ceremony. We have about 145-ish 8th grade students that kind of made this journey down to Newport High School. They are the official class of 2029. And you should see the moving up ceremony. It always amazes me who shows up to these events. It happened at 9 a.m. And to know that, I know it wasn't 100% full. I'm gonna say there's a lot of families that showed up in the tunes of maybe 200 individuals. We got to reveal who will be the 9th grade AVID students. We got to hear wonderful messages from Newport High School student leadership, and then they got to be officially welcomed by Raina Matson, which was awesome and amazing. The next slide is all about outdoor school. I'm kind of supporting outdoor school. Our outdoor school students just arrived back on June 6th. They spent 4 days and 3 nights camping and building community. I have these notes where a parent stated to me that they sent a child to outdoor school and they returned back a young adult just because of how transformative this event and kind of rite of passage can be for our students. And so I will just say shout out to everybody that had their hands in outdoor school, especially Jan Dickey, to make it possible. The wonderful thing that I get to share with you all is a little bit about our data. And when we get to talk a little bit about kind of the progress that's made, I really just want to highlight a few things here. This is the fruits of our, well, the labor of Newport Middle School staff. If you look there, you'll see kind of the annual typical growth for the top square is the building overall, which is 150% annual typical growth, which means that our students in some cases exceeded probably a year and a half worth of content and material in what they were able to demonstrate on that summative assessment. If you look at sixth grade, 164%, seventh grade, 167%, and eighth grade at 100%, all wonderful scores that are happening at Newport Middle School with respect to reading. I often will get these questions like why and how, and I will just give you a very generic response is thank you for standardizing curricula in our building. We have staff that are very dedicated to just implementing with fidelity that curriculum. Even though my staff will probably hate me for saying this, but professional learning communities, I do believe, are moving the dial in our building. We moved in about January to go building wide with our PLCs with claim evidence and reasoning, and to see a building have a focus on student data, student growth. It was awesome and amazing to see just our building pull forward. We don't know what way we're gonna kind of go next year, but I'll just say thank you for supporting professional learning communities. The other thing is this very cliche answer of high expectations, knowing that I have staff that demand high expectation and rigor of their students. And then I will say probably lastly, maybe a change in grading practices where 80% of their grades come from summative assessments, which tells me that their grade is mostly all about proficiency. And I think that is really moving the dial in our building. If you will go to math is also very interesting because we are still seeing growth. It's not nearly as similar to what we're seeing in reading. However, some things that I do want to note is that if you were to look at the trends, the good trends, so the early and mid or above grade level are positive, which means that we are moving the dial with on benchmark learners. And then we're also decreasing what I call the red or the double red of our triangle. And you will see that in some of our grade bands. For instance, if you look at seventh grade, we have a negative 12% decrease in 3 or more grade levels behind. And if you were to ask me why, I love to give you very generic answers. I'm gonna say we do have dedicated intervention classes to provide the most need to our students that are, I'm gonna say, struggling with mathematics. We are probably moving the dial with the implementation of our PBIS systems, AVID, our interactive notebooks. I also feel like our special education department are really focused on academics as well. And if we were to drill down and show you disaggregated data, you'll see that we're making movements in our special education department. And I do believe that the interventions that we have in place right now are effective, especially with our kind of co-requisite model, meaning that some of our students that are struggling with math have 2 math classes on grade level, and then in an intervention class that is either foundational or strategic in the way that we've designed it. And then lastly, if somebody were just to say like, oh, it's a fluke, it just, maybe we have pockets of excellence, we're also seeing the same sort of results in our Future Bound West program. So what we're doing is working. I know that it's not moving the dial quick enough, but it is my hope that someday I will see what in the world of education is this normalized triangle where 80% of our students are early or above grade level at their benchmark. And so I will just say, if you look at the reading, a shout out to Future Bound West, they moved 45% of their students into the early benchmark which is awesome and amazing to see that sort of movement, those sort of patterns happen. And then if you were to look on the right-hand side, if you were to compare kind of our school-wide reading with what is happening in Future Bound, we're very similar, 160% annual typical growth. And then if you look down, 109% of their students are making annual typical growth, which is also something to celebrate. And then lastly, I will just say our Newport Middle School secretary is back there. Mr. Ellingson's back there. It is all hands on deck at Newport Middle School. We know that if we don't get them ready for high school in this segment of their K-12 continuum, it will set them up for even more challenges and struggles. And it is my motive, my objective to really transform Newport Middle School into an academic institution and to make everybody winners when it comes to their academics. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you,
Great
Marty.
report.
Awesome, great work.
All right.
Hello.
All right, you can go ahead and skip 2 slides forward, please. So I just wanted to talk about a couple of cool things happening at Newport High School. The first one I want to highlight is the new Higher Education and Career Path Skills course. So this is a new graduation requirement from the state of Oregon that's coming soon. And because of our IB diploma program, we needed to offer it in that 10th grade year so that they had room to take it. So we started it this year. Wolfgang Taylana is the teacher, and it has been so exciting to see the number of people we have coming in to support this program. We have guest speakers weekly. They've worked on cover letters, resumes, mock interviews that a lot of district staff came in and supported, a lot of career and college exploration. And then we were able to have every student go on at least 3 college visits, one to Oregon Coast Community College, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then they had the choice of another community college and a university. So just a lot of exploration for these students, which will be exciting to see how that preparation supports their growth as they move forward. The next thing I want to talk about is our community college partnership. Our students got 1st and 2nd place in the youth entrepreneurship program. We were really proud of them. Melinda Dye does an incredible job kind of working alongside them to prepare them. And Oregon Coast also did an entire field trip for our entire 10th grade class. So about 150 students. That's a lot to have on a college campus at any given time. It was the best field trip our students have done in years. It was all hands-on. They had different stations. They fed us lunch. So an incredible, just an incredible partnership there. We already have our date planned for the fall, so we'll be doing it in September next year. And so all of our 10th grade students will get that opportunity. And then they've participated in a lot of the guest speaker pieces here on campus as well. And then we also are looking at expanding the dual credit offerings. So we've met with Oregon Coast Community College representatives to look at how does that align with our IB program and what courses best align to the learning objectives that they have. And then the next one is some of our business partnerships. So I want to talk about, I've already kind of talked about the guest speakers and mock interviews. We could not run that program without business partnerships. And then we had a great partnership with our welding equipment, where Thompson Sanitary Service, Rotary and Road and Driveway all donated money to enhance that program. And then a really cool project that we're working on with Thompson Sanitary Service and our CTE art program. Thompson's is doing a wrap on one of their trucks that you'll see out in the community, and our students got to design both sides of it. So students worked through the whole process of how do you present, how do you do the design process and gather information. They all submitted designs, and then Thompson's kind of picked the top ones. And so it's currently at a I think Newport Signs is doing like the official, getting the artwork on the truck. And so that's where it is now. So we look forward to sharing that. They also offered a cash prize. And so the kids were super excited about that. Through our International Baccalaureate program and our IB for All of our students participate in our CAS projects. CAS is Community Action and Service Projects. And so we did this throughout homeroom. All of our homerooms did some sort of project. My favorite one was definitely reading at the elementary level. So we had, I think, 4 homerooms go to Yukon View, NCM Case, and read to students. And definitely the high school students got so much out of doing that project. So some other things included, students learned CPR, they did campus cleanups, some partnerships with the senior center, positive messaging, and cards and notes to teachers. So then to talk about some of the care and pride in our facilities this year, obviously the new bathrooms are incredible. We cannot wait for them to be all over campus. We have seen a decrease in inappropriate bathroom use since we've had them. And so we're looking forward to having that in all of the other areas of the school. And then we're really excited to be designing a new turf field. So this is the kind of the drawing currently. We'll see where it goes, but just wanted to share that. Rich has been incredible with helping through this process, and we're looking forward to that. And then I want to mention Karen Doherty. Karen is our equestrian coach, but she really is our campus beautification queen. She has done so much work. We have an incredible crew, facilities crew. They're not really landscapers, and she is like a garden extraordinaire. So she has landscaped all over. She put in this picnic bench that you see here that is full now every time during lunch we see kids on it. She brought in flowers for graduation for the entryway, and she works really well with Rich to, she keeps saying bring more bark or do whatever, and she's here all the time. I don't know how she is physically able to do all that she does, so thank you to Karen. And then the last thing, we could not be more excited about this auditorium. We had probably 100 people in that little classroom for our last play. It was standing room only, and we cannot wait to actually have a full production where people can sit and enjoy our play. So anyway, just a big thank you to all of the work that you guys did to help pass the bond. And we have a lot of students and staff excited about it. So that's it. Any questions?
Great
All right.
report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raina. Okay. Moving on to monthly financial report. Kim, are you ready?
And before you start, Kim, the student report was submitted by students and is now embedded in your board folder for you to review.
Okay, thank you.
I'm kind of glad I don't have to follow the students this time. They're hard to follow. Okay, you'll notice several changes on the first page, the general fund revenue and expenditure summary. I've updated all the financial reports through May 31st. The first one I'll note is just the yellow across the revenue section. Those are just updated amounts similar to what I did last month with the expenditures. I updated year-to-date each month the revenue figures based on journal entries that had been done. The kind of orange salmon color is correction in revenue. It was posted incorrectly as state timber and it should be county school fund, so that was corrected. The blue represents our 24-25 May state school fund payment of $1.6 million. Our 23-24 final reconciled SSF payment of $266,199. We keep track every year of how much I think the local revenue is going to be adjusted. So the state either will owe us money or we owe them money.
So last year I booked $705,000 for that so that the money wouldn't get spent on other things in case we had to pay that back. It actually turned out to be $435,000, so it's a net of positive $266,000. And then the food services state match that's required by the USDA program of $21,000. The purple is the 25-26 preliminary high-cost disability payment of $686,000, less the reconciled 23-24 high-cost disability final payment of negative $281,000. And then you'll notice over by the ending fund balance, I added a line for this month at the end of the year for estimated billing carryover that will be used in 25-26 and is budgeted that way. Leaving in excess ending fund balance of about $3 million at this point. Of course, that can change because it's still based on estimates for June and July. But that primarily represents unspent employee benefits and purchase services. So again, as I think with the purchase services, a lot of those tend to be paid by grants. So we can get some underspending there in Fund 100. And then with the employee benefits, we budget as if everybody is going to take the full benefits so that we have the appropriations to pay for those things. But we have had a lot of people opting out this year. So we have some savings there. Do you have any questions about that? Okay, on the general fund projected to actual, that's comparing an average over the past 8 years, projection applied to our budget compared to actual. You see some notes there. The difference in the state school fund, last month I had $1.5 million projected, but with the 23-24 final payment coming in and all of those things that I mentioned earlier, there was a difference, an increase of $382,000 there. And then you'll notice in unrestricted grants, there's quite a difference in that one. That's because at the last meeting, you might remember I mentioned that we had gotten notice that we'll be receiving the $1.3 million in modifier funds. Well, when we got out there to claim the money, it wasn't actually released to us yet. They're waiting for us to sign a grant agreement, which they sent to me today, and I signed. So fingers crossed, I don't think we'll get it this year. But we will get it before December next year as it's budgeted. I signed the agreement, so we'll be getting it this month this year. So that's the major difference there. Purchase services. Note all the items indicated with the letter D. Those are the consultant fees for Right Public Affairs for money communications. And then E, you'll notice that the charter school payments are slightly less. In May, the state school fund is reconciled by ODE, and so we do a final reconciliation on the charter school payments in May as well for their 23-24 reconciliation, as I mentioned for ours, and also for the adjusting things like enrollment for the 24-25 final payment for this year. So that was slightly less.
When does that payment go out to? We discussed with the bond.
The money that we've dedicated for, I was going to talk about that on the next report here. If you'll look at Fund 405, the board had dedicated $250,000 each to the charter schools for capital improvement projects. We will be doing that from the capital construction fund.
Oh, okay.
And I have encumbered those funds. It doesn't show on this report because I just did it today, but you'll see it next month.
So, yeah.
So that money's uncovered. So there is a $1.7 million fund balance in that account right now. So 1.2 of it is available for district expenses and 500,000 is for the 2 charter schools. And that'll be done on a reimbursement basis. And then additionally, in that same Fund 293, we've got about $2.3 million So we've got $3.5 million total in cash that we can use for bond projects that we can get started on now before the bonds are actually sold. And in the February resolution that you had passed, that authorizes us to charge those back to repay ourselves, those expenditures, so that we can get started. On this, you also, I want to remind you that any of the fund balances that have 3 asterisks are because they're reimbursement grants. You'll notice in special revenues and grants, that first one, we have a $1.9 million fund balance right now. That's primarily because we have a second grant accountant, so we have more time to get things done and have been able to claim monthly, and that's partly because of the, rhetoric around federal grants. We're making sure that we get that cash reimbursed as soon as we can. And then you'll also notice the transfers that you approved last month have been made into the various funds. It'll be under the transfers line in 290, also musical instruments, Indigenous Peoples Funds. 290 is the curriculum fund, building maintenance fund, and technology. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is in the small schools grant, the state revenue there, that is for next year's expenditures. That additional revenue comes in May for the next year. Bills and claims are our typical monthly contracts, as well as some expenditures for lockdown buttons and intercoms at Taft Elementary. We were able to get the excavator purchased for the Wellport High School forestry grant that we received. And then just some computer and software purchases. And on the investments report, the interest rates actually held steady this month.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions or comments? I can't wait to see the first videos of the excavator in action. Okay. Moving on, we have a report from the first student. Arlene.
Good evening, Darlene and Michael, first student in Lincoln County. I would like to highlight from our report our numbers. We pretty much ending the year like we started it with low numbers on drivers. A lot has to do with drivers moving away from Lincoln County, moving out of state, but also finding other employment within Lincoln County that offer something better with their CDL, so they can get more for their money, I guess, for their skills. That means just that for us, the summer is going to be, again, recruiting, and we have a lot of plans on what to do and how to do it. We're going to participate in a lot of community events, just drawing the people in. And our pipeline actually looks pretty good. Right now we have, just this morning I looked, we had 19 people in the pipeline to become school bus drivers. Now they are all at varying stages, from just applying to just about ready to come in and be trained. We went into centralized hiring or recruiting, which means that most of the hiring is done outside of the pre-hire stages. It's done outside of our offices. I don't know if I like that yet because everything is taken away from us. So what we can do to keep the people interested is just contacting them. So that's what we can do. We can't do anything else but to talk with them and keep them interested in this and guiding them through all steps of the hiring process. And we're working hard on that. Do you have any other questions on the report?
No, but I know I'm gonna see you all over.
All over.
County,
We're gonna be all over the county,
drivers,
that's
and
right.
I think that's great.
Yeah, our drivers, the ones that are staying here, they are excited. They know what's at stake and they're out there. They want to recruit. They want to be out there and they want to promote, hey, this is what you're doing for your community. Just come and join us.
Can I crash your luau?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yes.
perfect. That was really good.
Absolutely.
I probably won't bring anything, just to be really transparent, but I'd really like to eat it.
That's okay. Yes, you can come. Ona Beach, very fitting. So
Great, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And just a note to board members, the food services report and custodial services report are in board folders, so take a look at those. And let's go on to board reports. So, Liz, what's happening?
Well, I enjoyed the graduations. That was really, really nice. Calf and report. Yeah, it's a happy time of year for everybody. Well done. It's really amazing students that have come through our schools. And, you know, again, I just want to mention about the passage of the bond. And I think Cecilia really summed it up. This is huge for students of our community. And I think all the people that voted that believed in us. And that's really important to me. That just showed that our transparency was there and we've done what we said we were going to do in the past and we're going to do it again. And so I thank you to all the voters that turned out and believed in us. It's a big thing. So thank you everybody that worked on it. It was fun. It was mostly had a good time.
All right. So Dylan.
We attended our last elementary school celebration the end of the school year with my video. We Irish all celebrate the end with their ukulele and the dance. And then spent yesterday we had outdoor school with in Yamaha. Spent the whole day there. So. And of course, graduation is always the best. So, thank you. And just a follow up with what you say about the levy is we did not win. What the community saw us is they believe in the power of education and they believe in the work that you're doing. And that's what's going to transform our community in the world. And so I'm very grateful for the work that you did in researching what the need is. But we now know that they are entrusted the education of our future population to us, and we are going to continue to do that. We all believe in, I know, the power of education is going to change things for us. And that's why we're here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Jason.
I also went to Newport graduation. It's kind of cool to find out I got a reserved seating. Wasn't the padded one that the superintendent Liz got, but it was a low rent district. But having kids that went through 3 different graduations, 10, 5, and 2 years ago, and then going to it again. I haven't been to any other graduations, but Newport puts on a show. They do a good job. It's entertaining. Listening to the students, I think the student speech this year was the most entertaining because it was a continuation of their morning radio show. But I think what I was most impressed with was how Raina kept it together, knowing that her youngest was graduating and all of the friends that grew up at her house and stuff like that. I mean, I was teary-eyed. I wasn't even speaking. And so, good job, Raina.
You did a great job.
Mitch.
I had the pleasure of attending several state playoff baseball games, both Newport and Taft. And I also enjoyed attending Taft graduation. I was able to see about 40 kids that I've coached since they were in like 2nd grade at some point in their journey. And so that was touching.
Did you get a cushion?
No, it was a regular one.
Oh, you had a cushion, didn't you? Okay.
Evidently, I have been on the board for 20 years.
Get your reservation in
Yeah.
early.
Still on probation.
Oh, probation.
No, he's been elected. So, right. Not just appointed. Yeah, I also went to graduations. I went to Solette's on Saturday, which was nice. I think it was the first time they had it outdoors.
In a long time.
In a long time,
Yeah.
yeah, which was nice and warm. It was a beautiful day. And I also went to Toledo High graduation where I was able to hand out diplomas and shake student hands, which was superb. My favorite thing to do. I just want to piggyback on Cynthia's statement about believing in public education as voters. Obviously, we all do, and I think it's one of the best things that we do in our society. It's public education especially. So, all right, moving on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, so A on there, we do have 2 policy updates. One is tobacco inhalants and the other is the alcohol policy. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me and Natalia Aguilar, that's in her department, but we'll be able to answer any questions after you review. This is first read for those 2 policy changes. And then annual charter school information per charter agreement. So if you remember, we changed this last year that they send a preliminary report in. So I've received Eddyville's and then I'll be meeting with SLET's interim superintendent next week to go over what's expected in that report so that they have that turned in. And then in October is when they will sit and give you their presentation, end of year review and upcoming year. It used to be they would come in May or in June and they would sit and tell you about their year, but that's all preliminary. They don't actually know where their ending results are of anything yet. So we've moved it to where they send preliminary and then give us an update, just like you have a retreat and you might change your goals. They might change theirs too in the summer. And so we wanted to give them that opportunity. So they'll both be here in October. And then we did want to have a discussion. This came up at the last board meeting on possibly changing the meeting dates of the board for the business meeting for the 25-26 school year to either Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and then your thoughts on work sessions. So I wanted to propose that to you to have that conversation if you're wanting to have standard Tuesday business meeting board meetings, or if you're wanting to move those to a Wednesday. I think Jason, you might have brought that up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you can wait and have, if you're going to discuss it, you'll need to do it in a meeting format. If you're all talking together about it, it would be adopted in July. Yeah, it would be adopted in July. So if you want to have a chance to talk about your thoughts on it, you would need to do that.
Right this minute.
It came up last meeting, but we can table it till July.
Well, no, I think it's a valuable discussion just because I think Mitch has other volunteer commitments and stuff.
Right.
Wednesdays are like one day of my life. I have nothing going on in the evening, so I generally, well, most of the time, not going to have a conflict. Tuesdays are kind of hit and miss.
But maybe because we're going through transition, that we'll want a new board member to have a say in his availability.
Yeah.
That's your chance, David.
Well, the other thing you could do is you could adopt this, and then you could adopt a calendar change when you have another meeting. But what I don't want to run into is we get late in the game and then we've published. We want to go into the school year know when the Lincoln County School Board meets. So if you want to have that discussion at the July Zoom meeting, you could have a discussion there when you have your new board in place. But I just would want to by August adopt what our year is going to be.
So it'd be on the 2nd and the 4th.
Well, I think that's another piece of conversation. If you want to continue to schedule 2 work sessions per month, that hasn't always been the case here, and that's been a topic of conversation. If we want to continue to have a work session the 2nd Tuesday and a work session the 4th Tuesday, or whatever other time that we're here. Yeah, so that's the other thing I think to talk about if you're wanting to maintain the consistency of the 2 board meetings per month. 1 being business with 2 work sessions.
Sounds like we'll discuss it further on our Zoom meeting in July. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. And then the only other thing I want to say is I attended a number of graduations, and I think what is so special about here is how many graduations we have, but how each one of them make them so special for their community. None of our graduations look the same at all, and I think it's just really cool to see the traditions that each of our communities have with them and how different administration can come in and maybe add a new flair or a new idea to it, but you can definitely tell the long-standing traditions that they have. And I think that's really cool that Lincoln County has that capability and
Whole staff and whole sports, everyone can do.
And I appreciate the flexibility our communities have had in moving their graduations. We are a very tight-knit community with family members attending and graduating from multiple schools. And in the past, almost all of us graduated at relatively the same time. And so being able to spread that out now over 2 days, you can get to almost all of them in Lincoln County. So thanks for that.
I did hear a comment from a community member in East County, in Toledo, that the Friday day, they would like to see that sort of rotate, the Friday graduation. Make it easy for them.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm sure you heard that.
I didn't, but thank you for passing it
all
on.
right. Okay, let's move on to our adoption of the consent calendar. And these are sort of regular items that include the minutes of the board, human resources information, in this case, custodial contract renewal, which you've heard before, nutrition services contract renewal, which you've heard before, and the second read on the policy updates on KAB and JBA and GBN. So the chair will now entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as published in the June 2025 board agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so it has been moved by Mitch Parsons and seconded by Liz Martin to approve the consent calendar as published in the June board agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 5-0. The consent calendar is approved. Okay. So now we're going on to action items, and we have quite a number of them. And Kim is going to walk us through a couple of these.
Yes, we do have several things to do tonight. The first one is the establishment of a PERS reserve fund. We've talked about that at a couple different board meetings and the budget committee meeting. We would like to create this to offset large increases that we're expecting in the budgeted expenses for PERS once the side account credits expire. As we've discussed, we believe that will be in 2030. So I would like to establish an internal service fund designated as 630 PERS reserve fund. That was budgeted as Fund 325 in the proposed budget. So I'll also be asking for some changes to the approved budget to rectify that. After talking with the auditors, they felt that it was better that it's a 600 fund, which is an internal service fund. Any questions about that one?
I have no questions, anyone? I think it's a great idea that we're doing that. The PERS bonds that we did in 2002, 2003 have paid dividends forever. So that's really great. So the chair will now entertain a motion to adopt resolution 2024/25-06 to establish an internal service fund designated as 630 PERS reserve fund. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.